Thank you for tuning in today to the Patriot Prepper Show, sponsored by P5 Preparedness, right here on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. We're going to talk about food for the majority of this time period. And before we get directly into the food, one of the things that I want to talk about, some of the interesting things that are going on that could affect how easy it is for us to get food. You know, we sometimes take for granted that the grocery stores are always going to have what we need. I remember just a few years ago that rice was becoming scarce. I can't remember the exact reason for that, but I know that it was getting difficult to buy rice. I know that when I was a kid growing up, the bananas that I used to eat, they're different because those banana varieties went extinct. And so those type of things can happen. There's an interesting...
Climate change caused that?
You know, it might have been. I think it was some kind of blight.
Or was it poaching? I think it was banana poaching.
Well, there's an interesting article from the Common Sense show. The guy that runs that show, Dave Hodges, has kind of an ominous story titled "Stalling Economy Threatens Food Supply. This perfect storm could cause you to starve to death." Very ominous. The part of the thing that I thought was the most interesting in here, he's talking about what could happen to our food supply. And he says, namely, 15% of all American farmers will not be producing food for sale during 2016 because of onerous federal restrictions placed upon our food producers. The long and the short of it is that a lot of these farmers, they need to take out loans so they can either guarantee their crops. And what that means is that they are expected to plant so many acres and it's expected to yield so much money. And if they're going to raise $20,000 from this plot of food, then they will get insurance for that. And that's important because, you know, hey, there's some years where there's too much rain and the crops are flooded and they cannot be taken to market. They're either they don't mature in time before the market happens, or it's the flip side of that where there's a drought and the food is dried up, and so there's not enough food of that. And so when that happens, when the farmer can't take that crop to market, he can get that insurance that will cover that. Well, it's become very difficult to do that. The farmers, because of the credit issues in the United States, they're not able to get the insurance on those crops that they used to get. So it's becoming really a lot of just the big mega farmers that are able to produce the foods that we eat. There's another issue, and that involves the shipping of the food to market. There's also a crunch on that type of loan and financing to harvest the crops, put them in the trucks, and take them to the food processing places before they come to the grocery stores. So why is that important? Well, if these are driven by the economy, and the economy is, well, I don't necessarily believe the State of the Union address from the other night.
The economy is not good.
That's what I say. And so you need to have something in reserve. If we can't get foods to market, or if there's a disruption to the power grid, or for various reasons, you know, we've talked about water and how important that is. Well, food's next on the list. You have to be able to eat. And so, you know, perfect time to put some food back. It's wintertime. I've always said, if something were to happen, and this is my conspiracy mind, but if we were ever if we were ever to ever be invaded or attacked, the perfect time for an attack to shut down this country, whatever kind of attack it would be, maybe it's just to the power grid, but it would be in the wintertime, because most of us we're not getting really fresh food anymore. We don't have our gardens in the ground during the wintertime. We rely almost 100% on the grocery store for every bit of food that we get. So if there's disruptions, even if there's snow, if there's mega snow and we're shut down for 3 days, a lot of people are going to be in need of food. And so if there was something big to happen in the winter months and it prevented crops from getting in the ground, those crops go in March, April timeframe. They come out of the ground September, October. Well, not merely October, I guess August, September. That's an awfully long time. That's 9 months before there would be any potential food coming out of the ground. So if there was a disruption, we could be in some serious trouble. And that's why you need to put back food. And when I say put back, that means that
canning, or not canning, maybe it's canning, I guess you put it in, which y'all teach, right?
It would be, yeah, it would be canning, but it would also be the long-term storage food, the number 10 cans, the pouches, the Mountain House pouches.
And y'all have the things that you can, the pouches, you do have do you sell the equipment for that? Not only the pouches, but the equipment to pull the air out of it?
For the, not for the pouches. The pouches are pre-made, pre-assembled.
Okay.
Usually they're 2 to 2.5 servings per pouch. They range in price from $6 to $11. And
very reasonable.
One person could easily get by on 2 of those in a pinch.
Wow.
It is 2.5 servings. I mean, that could feed a couple of people. It could feed maybe 2 small children.
Unless it's you and I.
I would need more. I would. And the number 10 cans is more for feeding a larger group.
All right, let's talk, because this is where I've been wanting you to go for the past couple of weeks. I know you've tasted this food. Honestly, how does it taste? You know,
I like all of the foods that I've had from Mountain House. And I say of the ones I've had, there are a few that I don't eat. I don't like seafood.
Right.
And that's just a personal choice. And so I haven't eaten the ones with seafood in it. We have never had anybody that's bought these, that has tried these, that has not liked it.
And are these in a can or a pouch or both? You're talking about the ones you've tried.
I'm talking specifically about the pouches.
Okay. And
you can get variety of foods. You can get macaroni and cheese. You can get beef stew.
And you heat water and reconstitute them.
That's exactly right. You will. The instructions are on the packet, and I say that because some require 2 cups of water. That's the average, but some take 2 1/4. Some take 2 1/2. And so it really just depends on the package itself. But you boil 2 cups of water, and to really just start from the beginning, read the instructions on the packet. You tear the packet open. Inside the packet is a little moisture absorber. Okay. And so you don't want any moisture in the packet. Yeah, so you throw that out. And
does it have a little spice thing in it for some of them?
It does not.
It does not. So it's already constituted in there.
Right.
Okay.
And it's just dry. It's been freeze dried. And so you boil your 2 cups of water, and you'll pour that water directly into the pouch. You seal it up. And usually the cook time is about 10 minutes. And again, that may vary from 9 to 12 minutes, but on average, it's about 10 minutes. And about halfway through, you'll open up your packet, and it seals just like a Ziploc bag.
Okay.
And so after 5 minutes, you'll open it up, you'll stir it, and shut it for another 5 to 6 minutes. And then you're ready to go. Ready to go. You can add, I always like salt and pepper. So I put that on just about everything to begin with. And so for my taste, most of the foods, I prefer it with at least a little bit of pepper.
Yeah, and you probably don't want stuff really spicy if you're eating this out of necessity. I mean, that may be the last thing you need to be dumping hot sauce in it.
You know, I remember from my Army days that back in the day, every MRE package came with a little bottle of Tabasco sauce. Unfortunately, the military doesn't have those anymore in there. But that might be something for your taste.
All right, so the pouch, we're just talking about pouch only. Give me an idea of a variety of food. You said macaroni and cheese. Do they have meat in some of them?
They have, there are probably 30 different varieties. They have specific meals that are designed for breakfast. There's a pouch that is just plain scrambled eggs. They have scrambled eggs and bacon. They have scrambled eggs and sausage. They have one that has scrambled eggs, sausage, and peppers, or I think it's onions and peppers. They have biscuits and gravy. That's a favorite, especially with the Boy Scouts. That is really good.
Really?
So the scout troop that we have out of the
and
store
what an
there.
Excellent place for a scout troop to come. I mean, if you're part of a scouting organization, no matter if it's the Boy Scouts or another organization, you need to go to P5 and talk with these guys, because They're going to enlighten you and help share some of their knowledge with you. But so you've got a variety. You've got breakfast, you've got lunch, you've got dinner. Now for me personally, what about the desserts? How are they?
There are several desserts. Yeah. There's freeze-dried ice cream.
Oh, wow.
There's a Neapolitan ice cream bar
Really?
That's freeze-dried, and you just eat it just like that. And there's also an ice cream sandwich. Mm-hmm. And both of those are delicious. We have near our store, there's an apartment complex, and we have some kids from the apartment complex that will come over just to buy the freeze-dried ice cream, and they'll be in a couple times a month to do that. Okay. Now you also not only have the pouch food, but you have the canned food. I've seen you got the big. Go ahead. I'm sure there's something you want to finish with the pouch. Exactly. I just want to talk about some of the food types that are in there.
Okay.
There are and this is mixed with other stuff. So there's ham that's mixed in with noodles or rice. I talked about the beef stew, so that comes with rice. Macaroni and cheese. There are chicken and noodles. There's chicken and rice. There's turkey tetrazzini.
It's easy for you to say. All right. How about if you have any kind of allergies? Is it posted on there? You have a peanut allergy, you have a seafood allergy. I'm sure the ingredients would say that.
Yes, the ingredients are listed on the can.
Okay.
You can get gluten-free foods.
Oh, wow.
So there are organic products that are in there. Now we're talking mostly about the number 10 cans.
Yes.
And the number 10 cans are those are not necessarily a meal in itself. It's not like chicken and noodles.
Right.
You would buy a number 10 can of diced chicken or diced beef, or ground beef hamburger, or turkey chunks, things like that. And then so that can go into a meal. You would more use that as for cooking.
The vegetables that maybe you've grown yourself or you've canned yourself.
Yes, and we actually have the canned vegetables as well. They're canned peas, corn, beans.
How is the canned meat? Does it taste pretty good?
I wouldn't say it's grocery store fresh.
Right.
You know, it's been dehydrated or freeze dried, depending on which one that you get. But it tastes very good. If you're going to put that in tacos or sloppy joes, I'm talking about the ground beef now, or in spaghetti sauce, it's going to be just as good as that you normally make getting it from the store. And so it's really good stuff. And now with a lot of these foods, because they are dehydrated or freeze dried, you are going to need to drink more water with those.
Absolutely.
And because your body is going to be absorbing some more water in addition to what was just in the food from the cooking process.
Okay.
So water is just equally as important. And then the larger packages that we have above the number 10 cans, we also have 5-gallon buckets of several different products.
These are dry goods mainly, like you said, rice and flour.
Yes, all dried goods. We have a 5-gallon bucket of whole milk powder. And so you add water and you have your milk. And that is something that's very important, the dairy products. Mm-hmm. And with that, I believe the bucket is 200 cups of milk that are in.
What's the typical lifespan of the buckets?
That's a good question. Most of them are, I would say, at least 8 years. I think the milk is a little bit less.
Yeah.
We have cracked wheat and that you can grind up into flour, and that will last for 30 years. We typically don't carry too much of the rice in the 5-gallon bucket because it is easier to do that. It's cheaper to do that yourself.
Right.
And so when we're teaching our classes on preparing the pail packing, that's one of the things that we talk about.
Okay.
And so I was going to talk a little bit with.
Well, let's first of all workshop tonight at P5.
Yep.
And the subject matter is
cold weather,
which is
perfect topic. Gosh, we may have planned that. So it's a variety of things that we'll talk about. You'll talk about cold weather for your vehicle. What goes into your car kit for cold weather? Have you exchanged the food that was in there from the summertime? It's time to change that out.
And this is an informal kind of a networking deal tonight at 6:45 free.
It's a free meeting, 6:45 to 9. We ask that you call ahead so we can reserve a space for you. We only deal with first names on average, and so we don't really track you. We
are really cool nicknames.
We have several folks that have nicknames. Yeah. I mean, I have a nickname.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we're just interested in helping you. We don't collect records and things like that. But so when you go in there, we'll welcome you. We'll tell you about some rules that we have. We don't talk about illegal stuff. We're not interested in your politics or your religion. especially, what you say, we don't want it to be offensive to other people. That's not our point. It's about
how
preparedness.
many spaces do you have? Because it is limited.
Usually we have, I think there's 20 chairs.
Okay.
And so that is usually I don't want to say that's the max, because we've had as many as 28 people that are in there.
Right. And give them a call over there at 423-602-2175. That's 423-602-2175. Make sure you get your spot reserved. It does not matter if you've been a prepper for 30 years or you're listening to this show today and saying, you know what, I am kind of interested in that. I don't even know where to start. You need to go to P5 Preparedness and find out what you need to do, and they will take care of you. As I said earlier in the show, they're bringing a wealth of knowledge that most cities would love to have, and we have that right here in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
One thing that's really neat about the network meeting is that it's the range of experience. And for instance, I mentioned earlier that you need to put an insulated cap on your faucet, and you may have a different way of doing that you found is better. Well, a novice that's going to go over to the big box store and buy one of those faucet caps for $2 or $3, they may say, hey, I tried that and my pipes froze anyway. I'm not saying that happened. I'm just using that as an example. But the point is that if you're new and you have an idea, you can talk to experienced people and find out what they did. You can still do it your own way. One of the things in raising my boys, I've always tried to say, it's better to learn from other people's experiences.
Absolutely.
Experience that you learn on your own is great.
Let the pioneers take the arrows, and then you walk through the nice built city. But, even though you're new and you may not have hardly any knowledge, you may have a way of thinking about something that the 15 to 30 year guy hadn't thought of before, because as everyone does, they kind of get in a line of thinking, and then someone brings something new and you go, hey, wow, that'd be great.
Yes.
So, come and participate.
And that reminds me of a specific incident that we had in the class where we were telling people how to stockpile their fuel. And, you need to put an additive in the fuel, a stabilizer, to make it last longer. And there's questions about ethanol that's in fuel and whether it is okay to store that type of fuel. And, we didn't really readily have the example or, the right answer, but we just happened to have a petroleum engineer that was in the class, that he works in the oil and gas industry. And
that's why you network. That's why you have those sessions.
That's right. He was kind of a quiet guy. But boy, was that right up his alley.
Yeah, he became the non-quiet.
So he was able to provide his expertise.
Something else, and this is big. You give discounts to...
Well, all of us that work at the store are prior service. We're all military veterans.
Very important.
We've got the Army, the Navy, and the Marine Corps covered there. I've worked as a firefighter previously. I've worked as an EMT. So we give discounts. We love law enforcement, the fire department, our EMS workers, and our military veterans. We give a 10% discount to everybody. If you've served, if you're prior service, or if you're actively in the emergency response area, let us know. We'll give you a 10% discount across the board.
It's worth going in that. And it's a cool store. It's a guy's store. I know there's a lot of women that are, but it's mainly a guy's store. And just go in and look around. You kind of go in, you look around, and you go, oh yeah, political correctness is dead. Absolutely. That's the way it is. It's a manly type feeling store, So I encourage everyone just to go by and look in the store. I know, when you say the word prepper, people are going to have, thoughts in their head. But this is real life, the way it should be done and the way you need to do it. This is not a option. You really need to be involved with somebody like the guys over at P5 and just go in the store. It's just a cool store. I love going in there.
You can learn a lot from talking to us, but we also have a fairly extensive, I call it a library, but it's more like the bookshelf, the bookstore. We have a lot of both fiction and nonfiction books at the store where you can read survival fiction from some very prominent authors, or you can read about or buy books on first aid, or, hey, how to provide, extensive first aid, trauma for injuries like that.
And hey, look, if you want to go, I mean, it can be a little intimidating when you go in a place like that. You're new, you don't know a lot, and this guy over here, boy, Duke's been doing this forever. Seth, he's got all this. Keith is so knowledgeable about this. Go in and grab you a book. If it's me, I'd have to take about 6 months to read it, but most people don't take that long. But I mean, spend the month in that book reading it. Then you can come and you got a little knowledge and you can have a good conversation. So books are a great way to start, but so are these network meetings. I love these network meetings.
Yep. And you can learn more about our classes on our Facebook site. And we have classes every week, and they range from first aid to pail packing and food distribution. And the food distribution is the amount of store-bought food you have versus pail versus the pouches. The pouches are great if you're backpacking or if you're going on a hike, something that's very easy to prepare. You can't really pack a number 10 can in your backpack. So we have a essential oils class that's coming up this month. First aid for beginners is coming up. That's not a certification class, but we'll teach you the basics on up through some of the more traumatic type injuries that you may have. We teach people how to get their ham radio license, and the ham license, that's for people that are interested in getting into amateur radio.
Hey, Duke, right quick, and we talked about this off there. A lot of people have medications that they have to take. Kind of give them a real quick rundown of how to pack extra medication, the best way to do that so they'll last the longest way.
Yes, in a lot of cases, you can talk to your doctor to get a 90-day supply or perhaps longer. If it's some sort of narcotic or psychotic type medication, then you can probably only get 30-day supply. But there are some other things. There are supplements that may be able to help you. And you need to really learn more about nutrition. If you have a condition that may need a prescription, but you can't get it, there are ways through nutrition and through health and exercise that you can possibly deal with that condition. And that doesn't go for everything. So what you can do, your medication should be stored per the box, per the directions that are on there. But a lot of that is in a cool, dry place, and they need to stay dry. And so if you have medications that you want to store for a longer term, you can put those in a food sealer, and that draws the air out of it, makes it an airless environment, and that will help. A lot of the pill type medications will last beyond their expiration date. And so you may have to add additional doses for that. But you should still take your regular medication, even if it's 2, 3, 4 years old. And you need to do the research on that, because there are some medications that you don't want to do that with, especially if it's more of a liquid type medication that could be harmful to you. So do the research on that. And one of the places that I've learned about medications and things that you can take is from a website called ArmageddonMedicine.com, Dr. Cynthia Kolker. She's got a lot of good information on alternatives to antibiotics. And
hey, Duke, let's give the address and directions right quick for the meeting tonight. And you need to go by the store and just look around, because it is one cool place.
Sure. We're located on East Brainerd Road, and that's between Gun Barrel and I-75 off of exit 3. And the address is 1309 Panorama Drive. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
It's the home of the big Deuce and a Half Army truck, the coolest advertising in the city.
Thank you very much for tuning in today. We'll be back next Thursday at 11 with another episode of the Patriot Prepper Show.